The morning sun cast a soft glow over Washington, D.C., but inside the Oval Office, a storm was brewing. President Donald J. Trump, the 47th President of the United States, sat at his desk, a classified folder before him. Across from him stood Kash Patel, his expression grim as he slid the folder closer. "She blocked it again," Patel said. "You're ordered to deport known gang members." ICE was ready, but Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson froze it at the last minute. Trump opened the folder, his eyes scanning names, locations, and victims. Innocent Americans harmed by illegal immigrants allowed to remain under legal technicality penned by Jackson. "People died," he said quietly, his voice heavy with resolve. "And she's protecting those responsible." In that moment, everything changed. Trump stood, his jaw set. She wants a fight? She'll get one, not just in court, but with the truth. By noon, Trump had made calls to trusted allies, including a federal clerk in Texas and a whistleblower in the Department of Homeland Security. Then, a plain manila envelope arrived, hand-delivered, its contents chilling. Financial transfers tied to Biden-era immigration programs Jackson had shielded from legal scrutiny. A leaked memo revealed Jackson had been flagged for unusual meetings with advocacy groups under investigation for illegally funneling immigrants into swing states. Trump slammed the folder shut. "This isn't justice," he muttered. "This is a setup." Melania entered, her voice soft. "Are you okay, Donald?" He shook his head. "No, but America won't be either if I stay silent." Staring at the American flag, he vowed, "I'll speak until every American knows what she's done." That evening, the White House interrupted global broadcasts. Trump stood behind a resolute desk, his voice steady and calm. "My fellow Americans," he began, "you trusted the courts to protect you, but that trust has been betrayed." He held up a photo of Annabelle, a young girl killed by a migrant deported twice, but allowed to stay under Jackson's ruling. Gasps echoed in homes nationwide. "I have evidence," Trump continued, showing redacted documents, connecting her to networks involved in voter manipulation, election interference, and illegal immigration. The screen flashed with headlines and reports. Trump's voice trembled. "I will not let this country fall to silence. The truth is coming." Across the nation, families wept as the broadcast replayed. In the Supreme Court, Justice Jackson sat alone in her chambers, staring at her phone. Every message read the same. "He knows." The timing unnerved her most. She'd buried those documents years ago. Outside, protests formed, some defending her, others demanding answers. Trump met with Patel and Homeland Security officials, reviewing sealed records showing migrants bused into battleground states under protected status upheld by Jackson's rulings. "They voted," Trump said, slamming a file shut, and she ensured their votes counted. That night, interviews with grieving families aired, their stories of lost tied to block deportation orders. The public's mood shifted from shock to sorrow. At dawn, Trump tweeted, "It's worse than you think. Today, I reveal more. Tune in." By afternoon, millions watched as he stood before a timeline in a press briefing room. "Justice Jackson blocked my orders while receiving support from nonprofits tied to foreign interests," he said, pointing to key dates. Biden's nomination of Jackson, her rulings protecting migrant statuses, thousands of migrants entering key states, and mysterious donations to groups linked to her allies. "These aren't connections," Trump declared. "They're contracts, bribes hidden in foundations." Victims' families spoke, not politicians. A mother who lost her daughter to a hit and run, a pastor whose church burned, a child haunted by nightmares. "She called it humane to let them stay," said Officer Ramirez, whose son was killed in a home invasion. "What about our humanity?" Trump stood silently behind them, his eyes filled with emotion. The press called it a national heartbreak, but for millions, it was betrayal. Protests turned to vigils. Strangers embraced, united in grief. Jackson remained silent, reportedly requesting private security. Meanwhile, Edward Langston, a former court clerk, contacted the White House. "I worked with Justice Jackson," he said. "I have something you need to see." At a motel, he handed over memos, notes, and an audio recording of Jackson discussing protecting the vote with a foreign-connected consultant. I kept quiet too long, he whispered, tears falling. Ruth O'Connor, a grandmother from Pennsylvania, watched Trump's address, clutching a photo of her grandson Patrick, killed by a migrant protected by legal loopholes. When Trump read Patrick's name, Ruth sobbed, "That's my boy." Flown to Washington, she spoke at a vigil, her voice breaking. "All I wanted was justice, but the courts gave me silence." Her words went viral, touching millions. Inside Jackson's residence, her team scrambled. A torn letter from a colleague warned, "You went too far. Ketanji. It's unraveling." Trump pressed forward, announcing a special counsel to investigate the networks tied to the scandal. Evidence mounted. Suspicious overseas deposits, a vanished federal case, a fake charity. Democrats distanced themselves, their leaked texts revealing panic. In Iowa, a third-grade teacher, Miss Evans, found a note from her student, Lily. "Dear President Trump, my daddy died because a bad man hit him with a truck. The judge let him stay. Please make her say sorry." Shared online, Lily's letter broke hearts. Trump called Lily's mother, Samantha, promising, "I can't bring him back, but his story will shake this nation awake." At a press conference, Samantha and Lily spoke, their raw pain uniting viewers. A veteran texted his daughter, "This is real leadership. In a world aching for truth, your voice can light the way." Share this story, subscribe to our journey, and join millions in honoring the forgotten. Together, let's make their tears spark a brighter future. In the West Wing, Trump studied a digital map showing migrant settlement clusters tied to voting patterns. Patel revealed a secret meeting attended by Jackson's associate, exposing a web of coordination. She didn't just interpret the law, Trump said. She twisted it. Across the country, candlelit vigils spread, sparked by a veterans group moved by Lily's story. No protests, just quiet light for lives lost. A girl outside the White House held a sign, "Justice for Daddy." Trump watched, whispering, "America did this." Former prosecutor Andrew McLean shared a buried case file, Project Silent Stream, linking undocumented settlements to voter programs protected by Jackson's rulings. "Release it," Trump ordered. Published online, it spread rapidly, exposing erased emails, shredded audits, and ballot boxes near shelters Jackson had ruled on. Church bells rang across the South, mourning victims like Annabelle. A preacher's viral sermon declared, "We cry because we're waking up." Trump whispered, "Let the churches ring." He released a list of nonprofits tied to Jackson's decisions. Each name a wound reopened for grieving families. In El Paso, a shelter volunteer, Maria, discovered her workplace listed in the files, tied to election tampering. Shocked, she questioned her role. Trump's next address featured children orphaned by crimes linked to protected migrants. "These are the faces we were never meant to see," he said. A 6-year-old clutched his father's Border Patrol badge, and the hashtag Forgotten Children trended. Sealed transcripts revealed Jackson delaying investigations into judicial conflicts, citing optics over clarity. A senator whispered, "We didn't know it was this deep." Outside, families held signs. Judges who protect lawbreakers are no longer judges. A billionaire, Benjamin Corvich, emerged as a key figure, his foundation linked to Jackson's staff. Wire transfers coincided with her blocking deportation orders. Trump aired victims' voicemails, their voices haunting millions. Even reporters wept. In Kansas, retired Judge Harold McNally, dying in a hospital, sent a letter to Trump. He described pressure to bury complaints against Jackson. "I lived with that shame," he wrote. Trump shared it, noting McNally's passing. "He finally spoke and will carry the rest." Carla Ruiz's video aired, warning of a stalker freed by Jackson's ruling. Days later, her daughter Maya was murdered. "I tried," Carla sobbed. Posted with Trump's caption, "We will never forget Maya." It became the most shared political video in history. A flash drive labeled Aegis Protocol arrived anonymously, revealing a network of policy groups and attorneys tied to Jackson's aides. Trump called it a roadmap to betrayal. Pastor David Langston, in Kentucky, collapsed mid-sermon, decrying Jackson's rulings. His viral clip deepened the nation's grief. Trump appeared unscripted, holding Lily's drawing of him with angel wings. "America is crying for help," he said. "We're listening." Silent prayer circles formed in multiple states, a nation united in mourning. Trump's granddaughter Carolina asked, "Why would a judge let bad people stay?" He hugged her, whispering, "You're helping by asking." The clip melted critics, a child's question cutting deeper than any evidence. The March of Silence saw millions gather in D.C., dressed in white, holding photos and candles. From the Lincoln Memorial, a children's choir sang, "We just want them to protect us." Jackson turned off her TV. Silent as truth marched past. Trump's final address was a documentary, weaving testimonies, documents, and maps. "This wasn't a mistake," he said. "It was an agenda." Standing with families, he declared, "No judge is above justice." Even foreign journalists called it a national heartbreak. On the seventh morning, a boy named Matthew handed Trump a folded flag at the White House gate. "My brother was a Marine," he said. "He believed in this country. So do you." Trump, visibly moved, took the flag. The moment swept the globe, symbolizing hope reborn. Trump sent a letter to the Supreme Court. "To those who wear the robe, do what's right for the grieving mothers and sleepless children." Leaked hours later, it shifted the tide. A justice, not Jackson, admitted anonymously, "We see what was hidden." An emergency judicial review was announced to investigate, not punish. Families gathered on the White House lawn, holding hands, wearing shirts reading Truth Matters. Trump raised Matthew's flag, kneeling before the boy. "Keep this safe," he whispered. "You're the future." The crowd erupted in applause and sobs. Washington felt like home again. A final video aired. Lily's letter, Ruth's hands, Pastor Langston's voice, Carla's warning, Matthew's flag. Trump narrated, "You made this happen. You told the truth. Justice is no longer hiding." The screen faded to a girl wiping a tear, the American flag waving behind her. She whispered, "Thank you, Mr. President."